Thanks for dropping in to Get Out of Your Way, a confidence overhaul podcast for those souls that desire bigger and bolder lives. I'm your host, Meg, dishing out the truth about moving into your confidence zone. Because sometimes it's really the stuff we hide from that holds us back. So sit back and relax as we dive into this week's confidence conversation. May it help you shift into becoming the badass that you desire. Welcome, my friends, to Get Out of Your Way. I know last week I just kind of threw this entire endeavor out at everybody's faces without any warning, without any backup, nothing. I pulled the pin and let it fly. And that was kind of, I think, by design to really put me in the place of reminder that when we have projects on the go and they seem icky or scary, or your nervous system is freaking the fuck out because you don't know what to expect when you do launch whatever program that or whatever project that you have working on. Because yes, I've been working on myself for years, building confidence, building my self-esteem, and building my trust in myself to launch things, to do scary things, to move differently than I did as a child. And I still hit those walls sometimes where I'm afraid to pull the trigger. This was one of them. This was definitely one of them. I mean, I have another podcast, so putting my voice out there wasn't my issue. It was talking to thin air. I didn't know how to put a podcast out where it was just me talking, me being the philosophical one, me having all the ideas and the wisdom. I wasn't able to bounce anything off of anybody and have ideas returned. So I was on my own. So yeah, it's scary, but it's fun. I'm having so much fun playing in this realm of new possibilities and playing in this realm of finding my boundaries and finding what else is out there for me to play with. It's definitely a wall that wasn't tall, but I still needed to work through to climb up. And you're going to find those throughout your life. You're going to find these walls and these stepping stones that you need to navigate. You know, you can do all the self-help that you want, and you can build all the self-confidence you want, and there's always going to be something that's going to pull you further. And that's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Imagine the growth that you're experiencing when you hit that stone, and maybe you stop and study it, and you look at it and you wonder, am I going to be able to do this? And then no matter how long you stop to study it, eventually one day you go, you know what? Look at this. What's the worst that can happen? The worst for me, I'm going to put all these out there, these little 15-minute, 20-minute quippets, and nobody's going to listen to it. Oh, well. Or somebody's going to listen to it and have something rotten to say to me. Oh, well. I can't control other people's thoughts or feelings against the words that I say. I can't control the perceptions that people will have on the words that I say. That's their perception. And if it triggers them and moves them in a way that offends them, then I suggest that person give themselves more love and maybe look inside and realize and become aware, become aware of what it is that my words do to trigger them, because perhaps my words are the medicine that needs to move them forward. I'm not saying that I'm a guru. I'm not saying that I'm a know-all, because like hell, I know everything. I'm still learning every single day of my life. I'm still moving forward every single day of my life. I'm still doing things that make me clench up and worry and get scared. I'm still doing things that, you know, people will look at me and go, what the hell are you doing? Why? Why would you put yourself in that position? Because of growth. Because I want to push the limits of my own trust. I want to push myself to further heights every single day as hard as I can. Because sitting in the house or sitting in an office or sitting somewhere doing somebody else's work wasn't for me. And I knew that. I knew my soul and my whole body hated it. It was wretched. I was sick all the time. It was literally rejecting the life that I was creating for myself. I couldn't have that anymore. So I changed it. Because guess what? We have the power to move. We hold the power to change. We hold the power to think differently. The only person that's going to make these moves and to make these changes and to begin thinking differently is you. All it took for me was recognizing that I wasn't happy anymore. Recognizing that where I was and what I was doing wasn't serving myself, let alone serving anybody else around me. I had toxic relationships left, right, and center. I was creating a toxic energy space for me to live in and for my kids to live in, and that wasn't fair to them. So I moved. And I move every single day to make it better for myself, to create this amazing story that's laying ahead of me. I mentioned last week that I had also started writing a book, which is all for fun. It's kind of one of those dreams that, you had when you were a kid. It was a flitting dream that you had when you were a kid, and quickly got squashed because, your spelling is bad, or, you don't have the storytelling capabilities. But I'm going to tell you something. Every single one of us has the ability to tell a story. We do it every day on Facebook and Instagram. We tell stories upon stories of what's going on in our lives. So I took that information and that wisdom and began writing a story, a fictional story. And what I'm learning through writing this story, because there was no solid plan about it. I was kind of whimsically just going along with it and allowing my characters to write their own story, which made me realize that, hey, I'm the character of my own story. I'm the main character. So why am I not writing my own story? Again, pushing me further and further through hard and sticky things. So go out there and create your own story. Make it magical. Make it adventurous. Do the things that scare the fuck out of you. Safely, of course. But get them done. Go out there and do things that, inspire you, but you still hold yourself back for whatever reason. Sometimes that reason is as simple as like, well, I can't just quit my job. No, maybe not. But that's not to say you can't rearrange your schedule and find space for your passions and build those passions up so that one day you can quit your job. Others will say, well, I have the kids to take care of. Okay, I have kids to take care of too, and I'm walking through my passions. Show them how to do it. Show them that their passions are important, that their purpose is important, that they don't need to follow this strict regimental schedule into an angry and gross structured life that doesn't suit them. Make things fun. Learn differently. It's possible. I'm actually currently helping my teenager learn differently. She's struggling in math in school because of the way the teachers are teaching it. And that's okay. That's okay. That method of teaching may work for all the other kids, but it doesn't work for my daughter. And that's also okay. Because together, there's bonding in there, but together we're working on a way to learn differently. It's okay to be different. It's okay to move differently. You do not have to fit the norm. And I know that this podcast or this episode is just kind of going all over the place. But the main message that I want to get across is that as long as you can get to that space where you have complete trust in yourself, which is confidence, as long as you can get to a space where you know that whatever step or whatever move that you're going to make next in your journey, that you're going to be okay. And I'm not saying having such a safety net that, excuse me, that, you don't make that move. I'm saying do scary things with the knowing that no matter what the outcome, you're going to either learn and move differently again, or you're going to create the most amazing life ever. Moves are scary. It's scary because you don't know. It's the fear of the unknown. We all have it. But sometimes that unknown brings the most magical gift that you could ever experience. So trust in yourself. And if you can't trust to make giant leaps, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I couldn't trust to make giant leaps either. I made small moves. My first move that I made, and it was the scariest move ever, was putting myself with only me. I pulled myself aside every single day and I sat with my own thoughts. It was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. But it was so worth it. It was so worth it because I learned who I was. I learned the things that I wanted, the things that I didn't like. I figured out the ways that I wanted to move. Not the ways that other people wanted me to move, but the ways that I wished to move. And all it took was me sitting for 15 or 20 minutes at the end of my day and journaling everything that happened that day. There's something magical that happens when you start to journal. When you have a thought and you write it down on a piece of paper, that thought exits your brain, which then leaves more room in your brain for new thoughts. And as these thoughts pile out of your brain and they elaborate on each other and they stack on top of each other, the detail and the expression and the feeling and the passion and all these things start rolling onto the paper. And whether you read that piece of paper again or not, that's up to you. But the more you clear out these thoughts and these feelings and these emotions from your body, the more free you will feel, the better you feel, the more expressive you're going to become, and the more knowledge you find about yourself. It's not a hard task, and it doesn't need to be neat. You don't need to have, the perfect pens or the perfect notebook or the bullet notebooks, and you don't need to have these fancy things. I used a Hilroy coil notebook, in fact, that I had gotten free from work, and a pen, which I think I also got from work. And I filled that book. I filled that book with so many thoughts, so many crazy, crazy sentences. I found where my anger came from by doing it, which was beautiful in its own. I realized how angry and pissed off I was about my life, which was interesting. I found out so many things about myself that had I not taken those 15 or 20 minutes in the evenings to write them out, I never would have known. And I would have stayed and stuck in those looped patterns of not so good lifestyles. I would have stayed in the toxicity. But instead, I sat with myself, which is scary. There's a reason why people have cell phone addictions. Sit with yourself, you journal, you learn about yourself. And then the things that you learn about yourself, you take action on. The things that you enjoy doing. Find your passion and start finding ways to add that passion to your life. Take the step. One step at a time. You don't need to take multiple steps at a time. You don't need to leap forward 3 miles. One small step forward towards the life that you actually want to be living. That's all it takes. And then when you complete and when you finish and have complete trust in yourself with that step, take another one. Take another one and then move forward. And these steps are going to be scary. I'm not going to fucking lie to you. They are scary as shit, but so worth it. And I know you guys have all heard that before. It's so worth it. But it is. It really is. When you start to dissect the things that we've learned through our childhood, through our belief systems that were passed down from generations and generations and generations of people and ancestors. When you start to dissect these and realize that none of them actually really fit this time, this day and age, and then you stop doing them and do the things that are similar. You can keep them similar for traditional sake, but change them up. The times are changing. The world is different now. But and remember that it's okay. We do not need to have these archaic traditions anymore. We do not need to have these belief systems and limiting belief systems and patterns in our family tree or in our lives anymore. We can move differently. We have to move differently. So get out there and take that step. If, in fact, you are ready to take this step and you still aren't quite sure what to do, because maybe journaling isn't your thing, and that's okay too. That's okay. I keep telling you, everything is okay. You're going to be okay. That's part of trust. If you are unsure of how you want to proceed with moving differently, changing things up, find me on Instagram. Come jump into my DMs and ask me questions. Let's have a conversation. Let's find a way for you to take that first step. Whatever and however that first step needs to feel for you to make you comfortable and begin trusting yourself, let's find it. That's my job. My job as an emotional generator, if anybody knows human design, my job as an emotional generator is to go through all of this muck and all this shit in order to be able to lead you through it. I'm the one that goes through it all and fails at it and stumbles through it and does the hard work so that I can lead you, my clients, through it. And it's beautiful in a sense, because I used to think that when I failed, that was it. I was a failure. I wasn't meant to do this stuff. I tripped and I fell. Why am I even a coach? I used to say that to myself all the time. But then when I have a client sitting across from me, or I'm speaking to somebody and moving them through the hardest shit of their life with grace, and I just have so much warmth in my heart, and I'm holding them through this pain and this perceived suffering and transforming that into something beautiful and magical. And my whole entire body screams, you are fucking amazing. Not just me, but my clients. I feel so good when I'm able to transform and move people through these things. Even though it was hard and scary and sticky for me to do it. Because I know both sides of it. I know both sides of a lot of these things. I know the feeling you get when you're stuck in your bed and you have zero motivation to move, to get out of bed and to do anything. And your kids are in the other room fending for themselves because you just can't do it today. I know the feelings that you get when you're in a relationship or in of any sort where you feel so gross all the time because there's no love, there's no support, there's no nothing, and you feel so alone. But I also know the opposite. I also know complete and utter support. I also know being able to jump out of bed, excited for the day. I have gone through these things myself in order to show you that there is a transformation, that the transformation is absolutely fucking possible. It just takes a little bit of work. And the beautiful part about it is that little bit of work I did on my own with very little support. I did have support, but with very little support because I didn't know where I was going. The beauty part about this is you have somebody in your corner. holding you through every single decision, holding you through every single step. That's my job. So take advantage of it. Jump in there. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's find ways for you to move differently. I'm going to stop rambling about moving differently. I want you guys to all have a beautiful, magical, and wonderful week and life. So until next week, keep moving. Keep taking baby steps if you need to. Crawl if you have to. But let's move away from the life that you are miserable in, because you don't deserve to be there. You deserve happiness and joy and gratitude, all these things. So be bold, be brave, and create those magical adventures. I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me today. For more truth and badassery, head on over to megnicole.coach on Instagram. If this podcast happened to rock your world and you think it might rock someone else's as well, be sure to share it. Perhaps we can all be a part of changing someone's view on life. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Catch y'all next week.